On today's episode, I will be discussing the pursuit of creativity and production. Also, some of the downfalls of being creative, such as the feeling of worthlessness that one could have when spending time on a project. Why do we do it exactly? All right. What's up, man?
Hey,
Hey.
hey, how's it going, man?
Long time no see. Uh,
That's
I
right.
I see that thing behind you. It reminds me of the Raiders Lost Ark. You know, when like they
Oh,
meet
there he
like
is. Yes, yes. Boris Yeltsin, actually, yes. Believe it or not, it's a matryoshka of various Russian and Soviet presidents and Russian czars. It goes back to Ivan the Terrible. Is a
Ivan's
tiny
terrible.
guy in the middle. Yeah, and then it goes from Ivan the Terrible all the way through to Boris Yeltsin. That's about the time I was in Russia, and I
Mhm.
left before Vladimir Putin became president. So I don't have one
Oh
with
wow,
Mr. Putin,
that's a while
unfortunately.
ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was quite some time ago. But yeah, there he is, the thing.
Very cool. All right, let's just get into this topic here. I've been
Sounds
feeling
good.
it. I feel it. You know, I had off
Sweet.
today, so like I really felt it. All right, so here's
Oh,
the deal. When I have
hit
free
me.
time, right?
Right.
I can do so many things, right? You spend your time how you want, right? But when you're at work, you have to spend
Yeah,
it in a particular way because that's what you're hired for. And I think
that's right.
people are much better at that when they're an employee, right? They go to work, they're told what to do, they're told where to sit, and they know they get in trouble, and somebody will come to them and be like, "You got to do this and this and that." Okay,
Yeah,
when you're not at work and you're idle, you can do many things, right? You can write a
that's
poem,
right.
you can
That's right.
ride a bike, you can do anything if you're able-bodied and it's great. It's great. It's like what life is really all about. So I like what we do here. I really do. It makes me really happy because it's like a lot of combination of things that I've audio and video, and I went back to school and I
Nice.
got like more knowledge in this thing. And then you realize graphic design and things like this, creativity, is a really hard way to make any money at all, right?
Oh, sure. I can imagine. I can
Because
imagine.
they're like, you know what the most bullshit thing is? Like people who make logos. What the fuck kind of job is that? They make that sound like it's the most like everybody's making logos. Nobody gives a shit about a logo.
I've noticed that too. Like if I look online, for example, I see a lot of logo makers.
Oh
Like,
my
you
god.
get anything from like Upwork to I forget the other sites. You go
These
on those like gig sites, so to speak. A lot of people seem to be doing logos.
logos.
Um,
Right.
yeah, but that's it.
Right. Logos. Right. Like what else? And then if you look at like the creative pursuits as a job, like the
Yeah.
requirements they have are so absurd. It's like 10 years in the
Oh, I
business
bet.
of multimedia and direct and you have to code every language and then they're like, "We'll give you $16." And you're like,
Right.
what do you mean? You have to work on the fly and be able to send PDF documents and like all the stupid names of the documents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like the most underappreciated bullshit. But on the other
Right.
end, I'll tell you where it exists. Okay, artists are poor. They're stupid. They used to be cool back in like Rome where you could like hang out all day and like be like Plato and shit. That was probably the best time to be like that. You
Right.
could just sit
Or the
there and like
salons of Paris, right? The 19th
yeah,
century.
just
Is that the call?
like the
Right.
Renaissance and shit, right? Back when it had a lot
Yeah,
more
yeah.
value. Now we have computers, so it minimizes all this kind of stuff, right?
Sure.
It's ridiculous. But I'll tell you the bright side. The bright side is a
Yeah.
designer. A designer is not the artist. The designer makes the bridge. He designs the person designs the pants. They design the video. They do the production. So if you're
Oh, that's a
looking
good
at like
point.
creativity, you should really be
Yeah.
looking at production, not just like the little bullshit logo stuff.
That is an interesting point. Now, it's interesting because, too, as you mentioned creativity, it's just reminding me of a friend and I, a good friend and I, we are writing comedy screenplays, right, for like full length feature films
That's
or
awesome.
even television episodes. And
Well, a
we're
pilot,
sitting and
right?
we're writing. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Too.
right, a pilot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for like pilots and stuff. And we write, and we're very proud of our creations. They've even won awards, uh, but we haven't gotten paid for them. It takes a
Exactly.
lot of time. Sure, we
Yeah.
have a good time doing them, of course. Like we're writing, we're laughing together, but it's tough because they want experience in the business. Sometimes we'll submit them. No, we're not sure who exactly is reading them on the other end, other than for the contests, and it just seems to go into the ether, at least for the moment. So my point with this is, do you feel like, do you ever feel like, what's the point? when
Yes.
if you don't get so-called return on
Yes.
investment, for lack of better words, right? Do you ever forget that thing?
There's zero. Also in this video, I am not going to add any pictures to it to kind of tell the story a little bit better. I'd like to, but it is time consuming. And there was a part of it where my voice and my mouth does not sync with what I'm saying, but it kind of goes along with what the video is all about. It's just about posting something and not letting perfection prevent you from actually doing it. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. All right, later. And
Right,
like
right.
I do it on so many levels. I can edit. I play piano very well, and
Oh,
I'm always
nice.
mad at myself that I don't play more
Yeah,
because I see the reasoning behind that. It makes me more intelligent. It soothes me, and I get so mad because
yeah.
I play way more video games than I play classical piano, and I compose really well, and
Mhm.
I did not without much training.
That's
That just
cool,
makes
man.
sense to me.
Yeah,
And I know it's so good for my soul to just compose on my piano, and
yeah,
I'm always like,
yeah.
"When you get up in the morning, buddy, just go downstairs and play for 20 minutes. You'll feel much better." And I cannot get myself to do it, and
Oh,
I
that's
don't
interesting.
get
Yeah. I will admit,
yeah.
it's hard for me to get started. Like it's hard for me to get started writing. But once my friends and I are in the mix and we're in the thick of it, it can be a lot of fun. It's actually, once we're like
Yes.
in the flow state, so to speak, it really is.
Yeah.
And when
You
it's done, it's the reward. Granted, true, no return on investment, at least not yet. Uh, but
right.
the reward of reading it back, especially after some time has passed and I read it again, and it's just amazing. Like it's like, wow, we actually created this. It's like it's real now. It's not just something I'm
Yeah.
imagining. It's a real
I
thing on a piece of paper.
I
Yeah,
can totally relate, and at
yeah.
least you guys have, like, put it in where, like, you got an award. I wrote a pretty great graphic novel called Metaphorically Released, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
fucking great.
Oh,
It's
nice, man.
great.
Nice.
And I think once it was done, I read it once or twice. It has beautiful artwork.
I
Some of
bet.
it's back there. But like
Nice.
I put probably 1,000 hours in that thing. And the most
Sure.
wild part, honestly,
Hmm.
is when COVID hit, I didn't like the news cycle and I started going into esoteric knowledge,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Which is like ancient history and all this other stuff. And that book I wrote in 2016,
Yeah.
it has so much spirituality in it
It's
that
awesome.
I've learned is not that it's real, but it's stated in the old books, and I'm like, "How the hell was I hitting this well before I understood all of this?" It has a lot
Oh,
to do
that
with
is interesting.
conscious, subconscious, and all these other things, and I
Yeah.
always, like, never wanna ruin the end, but no one reads it, so what does it matter? You know what I mean? The story's a good story, you
Right.
know?
Right. That's so
It's
interesting because
literally
so you almost
it's
feel like
only
you got the
good.
knowledge was there. Like uh, I'll use
I
the
learned so much.
Michelangelo analogy, I guess. He said he saw the David inside the marble and just chipped the excess marble away.
Yeah,
Is that what it
yeah,
felt like when you finished this? Like as far as the spiritual knowledge?
yeah.
Like yeah,
I
that's
I feel like I feel like there's more to this world than I once thought. I
that's
really
interesting.
feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there is there is a lot of, like, I don't wanna call it the afterlife, but there's something bigger than all of us.
Right,
There's like a
right,
God consciousness, there's an energy there. I never realized how much there is, and when I do that, I get in tune with it, but at
right.
the same time, I feel the worthlessness from it, and it's the
Mm,
most weird thing to
yeah,
feel.
yeah.
It's fulfilled and worthless about something at the same time.
I can relate to that in a lot of ways too. That to some degree, the writing, uh, trading currencies. So one might not think of that as an art, but I put in all this time, and to be honest, there has been no real return on investment there. I'm still learning. I enjoy the challenge. It's fun to me. It's almost
Mhm.
meditative. I guess that's the fulfillment I get
Yeah.
out of it. Certainly learned a lot about myself too, and
Yeah.
in a funny sort of way, though it's a funny way to get there, I guess, to some people. I do feel like it reminds me there is something bigger than me out there. Like there's
Yeah.
so much going on in the world. Um, Yeah, it's numbers flashing on a screen, but they all mean something. Something's happening somewhere causing that. It's fear and greed of people collectively.
I
It's
I don't
amazing.
know if you
Yeah.
know this,
Hmm.
but from what I've learned, numbers on the screen are the universe. The numbers, the patterns, the rhythms, like you're pursuing something cool, right?
Oh
Like so if
yeah,
you're good at this,
yeah.
people think you're so smart because you're making money off of money and numbers, right?
Right,
That's
right.
like you so excited
That
about
would
that.
that's
That
the
is
thing that's so interesting to me about it. Yeah, yeah.
that is
That
a
seems
great
possible.
pursuit.
Yeah.
Because currently, in the way America is with capitalism, it's like, millionaire, millionaire, millionaire. And
Oh
like
yeah.
that pursuit, people get really behind. And at the same time, they
Yeah.
can lose themselves utterly and completely,
It's true.
you
It's
know?
true. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. It's funny, even though it's dealing quite directly in a way with money or different money from different countries. What's interesting about it is I found it's not totally about the money for me in that sense. And I wonder if
Right.
you feel the same way about the creation. It would be very nice. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to imagine, you know, models and bottles in the club and Ferraris out front and
I,
stuff like that.
I would love,
But
I would love to see you
right.
or anyone else who challenge that discipline, and it would make or break you day to day it would make or break you day to day if you would eat, have a roof over your head, and be able to live.
Oh
How
yeah.
well would you be able to do that if your life was on the line and your family's
Oh,
life was
that
on
would
the
be
line?
interesting. Yeah.
Would you be better or would you be worse? Or would you just crumble?
Something like that. I'll be honest. I'm still very much learning, so I think I would
You'd
be
crumble,
much more
probably.
careful. Yeah, I think I'd be much
Yeah,
more careful if everything was on the line. I mean, right now it's sort of a side gig, um,
exactly.
since it doesn't pay all the bills directly
Your
like that,
other
right?
needs are met, so
Yeah,
you
other
can,
needs are
like,
met.
play around.
Yeah, so I can play around a little. I can make the mistake when I learn and not feel like, oh my God, that was just dinner, breakfast, and lunch for the next 5 days.
Little Johnny's,
Gone.
payment for, kindergarten,
Right,
for the
exactly. Little
deposit,
Johnny's tuition,
you know? Yep,
gone.
yep.
There was a
A new
South
pair of
Park joke
socks because
about that, right?
you don't have socks, so you gotta go, like, get socks. You just
Yeah, you
spent
got
your
to get
damn sock
socks.
money. Now you got no damn socks.
That's
You know what
right. That's
I
right.
mean?
It's like
It
the.
sounds dire, but if you put that context into the things you do,
Oh yeah,
it makes things a lot more real because that is actually what we're doing every day.
it's
We
true,
are
right?
choosing
Right.
and we are making decisions that in our older life and when we're an old man, like a lot of older people fuck up because how are you supposed to keep money till you're old? How are you supposed to do that? How are you
Right.
how? How are you supposed to maintain such a wonderful lifestyle you had in your 30s when you're 80?
It's
I mean,
true.
come on.
It's true. I think a lot of people don't realize, and not to, I think some people take for granted managing money is actually, it's simple in a lot of ways, but it's also rather
Yeah.
complex. And I'm not even talking about stocks, bonds, trading, investing, or anything like that. It's just the general like income and outflow, basic expenses.
Yeah.
Some people, and I don't mean to insult anyone by saying this, but some people really can't do it. They just don't
Mhm.
get it, and they end up, or some people just have a string of bad luck. Sometimes it's nothing to do with skill. It's just a string of bad luck, and they end up, you know, in trouble. Let's say, and you hope they have good
Well, that's
relationships with
fine.
people to help them out. Right?
There's a path for that too.
Yeah.
There's a path for that too
Mm.
because if you have state insurance, that covers everything.
Oh, good point.
There's a whole thing built into the capitalism that has a whole thing for poor people.
Yeah.
It's not just like you go poor and back in the day they put you in debtor's prison or they chop your
Oh
head
man,
off
I'm
and
so
murder you.
glad we're not
They don't
doing
do
we're
that
not there,
anymore.
right?
No, no, now you got to
Yeah.
live with it. And then you
Yeah.
declare bankruptcy and then you do it again. Like there's a whole system based
That's
off of
true.
poverty,
That's true.
you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's built
Theoretically,
in.
there's a way
It's
out.
there.
Um, that's pretty wild. Yeah.
It happens so often that there's a whole plan A to Z
That's
anymore.
true.
You
That's true,
know?
man.
It's crazy. Even when you're exiting this life and like, then they'll take your house for the medical bills and then it's already all figured out,
Isn't
you
that
know?
something?
Like
Yeah, you're right. You're
they
right. Um,
we we came into this world, they already figured it out. We
yeah.
just came in as a,
Yeah, and aren't we? We do. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and in so many ways, humanity has. We joke about will people ever learn? We actually have learned, I think, over time, and different societies handle it differently. But overall, on balance, I'd say we've learned a lot. And what's interesting too is even at the end, when we're called away from this world, the lights turn out for the last time. Let's say whatever you
yeah,
created, the creative part. whatever you created that's out there, it's still there, which is cool. So in a
Yeah.
way,
Well,
you live on through
God,
your creation or your
that's
art.
a good segue.
Yeah.
And do you?
Thank you.
I will send you metaphorically released. You can literally read it in probably 45 minutes.
I would love to. Thank you. Yes, I
But
would love to. Like, because I was
it
going
is
to ask.
dense. It is dense.
Yeah.
It is the most
Is it?
dense thing ever. Oh my God. It is the most
Excellent.
dense little book in the like ever.
I'm gonna like it probably, and if books, little dense booklets like that,
Yeah.
I've often read many times over too, because
It,
there's
it,
so much
it,
material. Yeah,
I put so much of myself into that the art is like that was insane. And another thing to go
nice.
back on the talent thing. Again, I can draw the most beautiful things. And when I do, I always
Yeah,
feel better, but I've
yeah.
lost it. I can't even
Oh,
sit down and
really?
no, I finished a
Really?
piece probably in like 2015, and that was the last one I ever finished. And
Oh, wow, really?
I can do them in 20 minutes. They always feel so
Nice.
good, but I cannot get myself to sit there because it feels pointless. And I
It's
think a lot of
so
the creative
interesting. Yeah,
pursuits feel pointless. And even this, like the fact that you keep coming back is great because then like I feel like something. It's like when you write with your friend,
yeah, yeah.
the collaboration brings people back. And
It really does.
if
Yeah,
I
it's true.
if I could post 2 more videos out of what we do today, then like guess what? That was like a hump I probably might have not done, you know?
It's true. It's true. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be part of this too. I mean, it's a lot
Yeah,
of fun, and I'm with you. The collaboration helps a lot. It just
it
has
does.
it's writing. It kind of, for lack of better words, quote, forces me to sit down and actually do something. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
really a
nice
lot
too
of fun.
because like podcasts, I feel like people really can like have a real conversation, and that's what
Yeah.
that's why I want to do
Yeah.
podcasts. I like to
For
talk to people and
sure.
have real conversations. And
Me
obviously
too,
Joe
man.
Rogan and Lex Friedman and all, I like all that.
Mhm.
In
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
opposite of all the media, which I can't stand anymore, where it's like
Mhm.
white people are the devil, white people are the devil in America. Like they shit on white
Oh
people.
yeah, and they're yelling at you too. They
Oh
it's
my
or
God.
at each other, right?
Yeah,
And talking
everything.
heads on
Every
the
time I
news and
turn on
so
the
forth.
TV,
Yeah.
this dude is literally is a garbage, and I'm like, I don't
Right.
want that.
Right.
That's when I started going to podcasts and listening to people have real conversations. Because
Yeah.
nobody
Me
sits
too.
around
Me
talking
too.
like that.
And so, like, yeah, the Lex Friedmans of the world, the Joe Rogans, the Tom Bilia's another one I listen to.
Yeah,
There's
there's
so
so
many.
many.
Um, I forget everybody else to be honest, but
There's so many.
this one, of course.
Yeah, this one.
I dare say.
If-
Yeah, people have real conversations, and it's so interesting to hear them just talk honestly
Yeah,
about what they believe,
yeah.
and not have the anyone else who's a guest yelling at them
Yep.
or slinging insults at one another.
And
So,
I feel like this
but
podcast could be something if I would just stop being a baby and just ask more people to like do it. Because I feel like I'm good to talk to. I feel like I can talk to most people. You're very good, and I
I
feel
agree
like
100%.
I need to
With
just stop being.
yeah,
You just ask people and then do
I
it,
know.
and then get your the way you edit down quicker and just put them up. Who
Yeah,
cares? They
I
don't
know
gotta
what
have
you're saying.
100
Yeah,
pictures and 100 videos. Like just put them up. You know?
it's true. I've heard that. Grant, believe me, it's easier said than done, and I feel the same way about sort of the delays and even the procrastination, because I do it too. But they
Mhm.
do say, yeah, just make it happen. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. I mean, as long as it's good, right?
Yep.
Get it out there and see what happens, and as people join in. It's tough to ask. I could imagine asking people
Yeah.
to
Well, most people,
participate in it.
like I said, they're intimidated because they don't know what it is. They don't know
True.
what it looks like.
True.
They don't want to be on the internet. There's a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
reasons.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
People are
I'm
scared of
afraid
the
to be on the
internet.
internet too, but I figure it's worth the risk, right? It's worth the risk. It's enjoyable. Why not? See what
Yeah.
happens.
If it's
Maybe like
just
100 years from
regular.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
But like
It's true.
a lot of people, we see on the news, people get canceled like all the time, and it's for doing things like this in a country where they
that's
have
true.
the freedom of speech, which is bizarre.
We are supposed to have freedom of speech, right? And yet there's some
Unbelievable.
people who seem to want to take that away, or forget just how important it is to be able to speak freely. And even if
just
what
how-
someone says is dumb,
Yeah.
at least we know it's dumb.
Just
Or
like
people can make a decision for themselves, right?
Yeah, like they made a country where you can kind of do that, and that's kind of rare.
But you can't now. It
It's
seems like you
true.
can't. It's been like that for a
I
while.
would remind people too that sure, you take away freedom of speech. Yeah, you refuse someone the right to speak. You're also refusing your own right to change, to have your mind changed, your own right to
Mhm.
listen. And people don't
Yeah.
realize that either. So they're kind of, it's sort of a double negative, if you will, taking away freedom of speech. So I would say,
Yeah.
let's keep freedom of speech alive.
Yeah.
Podcast away, right?
Keep that thought. I'm going to cut this and then just